It's Wednesday. We're going to continue with our Black Cat and some other things we just got done imaginarily out in our imaginary choir. Yes! So Friday's quiz is going to be our biggest grade we have so far this 9 weeks, and I'm going to try to help you do well on it, so I have a few things to help you with it. Tomorrow is our first official reading day, because we have so many kids in here who seem to love reading. So your only thing tomorrow is it's just read. Bring a book of some kind or whatever it is you want to read. If you want to do extra B points, you can. If you want to do extra credit, you can. If you just want to read, you can. If you want to lose B points, absolutely can do that too. Yes. So the story that you have, the big yellow one that's in front of you that says Charles, that you picked up from my desk, that is one you're going to have to read on your own for Friday's quiz. So the idea is I have been teaching you skills. Now you have to apply those skills. So you're going to take a look at a story about Charles, about a young kid who has a friend at school who gets in trouble and tries to get himself kicked out. And you get to read about this kid making all of these poor choices. I figured it deals with a kid making poor choices and getting in trouble at school, so that should be right up your alley.
It's just like color.
Sure. So that'll be for Friday to help you out there. To go along with that, to make your life a little bit easier for those of you who seem to hate reading so much, if you go to Canvas, I have a video of someone reading it to you. And so I don't think that's the kid reading it. I think that's supposed to be Charles, the kid in the story. But you can listen to someone reading it instead of you reading it. Also, I have created a review guide for you. I know, that's how he loses points. You get to make choices. And so I also created a review guide on there to help you out on that one too. And so if you go clicky review guide, I went through and sort of summarized all the questions on the quiz. So hopefully that'll help you guys out in case you're not sure what to know. This will hopefully help you figure out what to know for a quizzy thing to help you out there. Yes, you're more than welcome to write down answers to this. Yep, you're more than welcome to use them on the quiz if you want to. I'll tell you they're not the exact same questions, but they're very similar questions to try to help you out. But that is up to you. You also have 2 attempts on Friday's quiz, but it doesn't tell you what you got wrong. It just tells you what your grade was. Then I take the higher if you want to take it again. I'll take the higher of the 2, but it's due by the end of class period, so hopefully that helps you out as far as that one goes. That's okay. And this is my other depressing thing, the IXL. But again, everyone who's done it so far, I have graded them as of this morning, and so you should be good to go. You still have through Thursday night, so you still have tomorrow, or today, and tomorrow to get them done if you want to. All right, questions about the depressing stuff? Amelia.
So last year I did the IXL that you posted, so did I just turn in what I did?
Well, last year was the 6th grade one. This is the 7th grade one.
No, because it said I already did it.
Yeah, mine said I already did it, but then I click on it to see it restarts. But when it's
so as long as you are turning in the 7th grade one, I could care less. If you already did it, then go you.
Cool.
I mean, some of you guys may be going out and doing these on your own, and you're like, weekend fun, and just knocking them out. All I care, as long as it's you that did it, and it is the right IXL, if you did it this week or if you did it 4 years ago, I'll still trust as long as it's your brain doing it. Does that help? Okay, now we're good to go there. Unless you're doing it right now, because then I'd have to attack a kid.
That's a more IXL.
Then why are you on your iPad right now?
I'm
looking at my grade.
And again, I did bump this up. If you get a perfect score, I bumped it up to 13 as opposed to the 12. So it does go, if you get so it should say 13 there now. If you go on to the little thing, it says 13. So I skipped 12. If you got a 90, it goes 11. If you go all the way to 100, it gives you a 13. And so you could now either keep the 13 as extra credit or you can turn it into 3 B points. I'm fine either way to help you. Hi, Ben.
Can I turn my 1 into a B point?
Yeah, you just got to email me. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That was easy. Let's pick 2 more kids and then we're going to talk about killer kitties. If you are one of the 5 people who have already gone, you don't get to go again. But we should be able to pick more. And if no one picks, apparently we have a never mind. We have a volunteer. Now that is Dos volunteeros. All right. Hadley
Finfal's trying to volunteer me. That means Finfal wants to go, right?
and Sealant. All right. Just one at a time. But yeah. Although
Elena.
Abby was really excited to get a chance to go. I respect that.
You said Elena would go.
You said Elena would go first.
Oh, but you didn't raise your hand.
Yeah, she did. She just
She did.
She was just scared.
Then we'll throw Elena in also. We'll do 3. I don't want to make her sad. Hadley, you just have to wait a second for Elena to go because apparently she's really excited and giving me a grumpy face. Elena, would you like to go? Hang on, I got to make this disappear.
No.
Achoo! Oh, it's gone.
That was not impressive.
It was off.
We get to watch Mr.
Why would you do that?
Take a setting, when and where. Plot. What happened? Point of view of how we see the story. Theme, what we learned. Internal conflict, decision. External conflict. Something versus something.
Go you! Got your 5.
Why are you punching?
All right, Hadley.
She said she wants some monkey's treats.
Oh, you want the monkey tree set? I apologize. Hang on, Hadley. We've got struggles. Go long.
I'll receive it.
Are you calling her crap? Take a peek away from her.
Ready?
Characters, who is in the story, setting, when and where, plot, what happened, point of view, how we see the story, theme, what we learned, internal conflict, decision, external conflict, something versus something.
Nice enough. Did you want? Okay. Now that I've learned to ask beforehand.
If you don't
And Abby. Right in the hands. And see.
It's under his chair. Let's get it.
Lucas, take it!
No, don't.
And
Characters, who is in the story, setting, when and where, plot, what happens, point of view, what we see, theme, what we learn, internal conflict, a decision in the story, external conflict, something versus something.
go you. And
Monkey tree.
okay.
If you drop it, that's crazy.
Oh,
she dropped it!
I'll receive it.
Might have been a bad throw.
No, she could have dropped it.
Well, thank you for saying it wasn't a bad throw.
Yep.
I take the compliment.
Because you're a good throw.
So what was our definition of foreshadowing?
Seeing into the
It's a
future.
story to help figure out
So we have a number of little foreshadowing things in this one. Part of it is you might not know they're foreshadowing until we get further in.
Being axe in somebody's head.
So let's go with who's our main character? Dude. We don't know his name. What do we know about him?
He's alcoholic. He used to be happy.
Let's back up. When he was younger, what do we know about him?
He was
What turned him evil?
alcohol.
And then that's now what kind of choices does he make?
He cares.
What do we know about his wife?
She's happy.
Nicely done. And
He's
then
probably gonna be dead.
what is the first awful thing he does?
He killed a cat.
That's the eye
Takes an eye out of a cat.
And that's where the eyeball thing comes in.
You take all of that.
Then what is he? The next evil thing he
Kill the
does?
cat.
Broke the tree.
And that's where the whole hang. And then what happens that night?
The cat is on fire.
I tried to
Cat
update
gets
our
smashed
picture a little
into
bit.
a wall.
And now the house is burning. And then we have the little room.
And then there's an imprint of a cat on the
And
wall.
I even tried to help you out the imprint thing.
Into the cat on the wall.
Perfect.
So I found the picture of Silly Putty to help out the Silly Putty thing. And so that's when they did the smashy little cat that went in. So here, and then not only is it an impression of a cat, but
There's a
noose.
and our guy feels really bad about this and decides to completely change his life. And so, what does he start doing?
Alcohol.
And what is he looking for?
Alcohol.
And we ended up where he had just found himself a new little cat.
Chicken
But
dance.
there is a difference between this cat and the old cat.
White
I think I have
It's got a little white check.
new black cat with splotchy thing. And so it looks just like old cat, except this one has a little splotchy thing on it.
So it does.
So we are all the way over to the right-hand side. We're just going to say, upon my touching him, we're going to find out what's going to happen with the new cat. Upon my touch, because the cat was on top of the thing, and he goes over to touch the cat. It says, upon my touching him, he immediately arose, purred loudly, rubbed against my hand, and appeared delighted with my attention. This, then, was the very creature of which I was in search. I at once offered to purchase it off the bartender, but he made no claim to it, knew nothing of it, had never even seen it before. I continued to pet it, and when I prepared to go home, the animal seemed to want to follow me. I allowed it to do so, occasionally stooping and patting it as I went. When it reached the house, it made itself quite comfortable at once and immediately became a great favorite with my wife. Real quick, I forgot to ask, what does his wife think about the cats?
Evil.
Why evil?
Witches.
And
Chicken dance.
specifically, what kind of cats?
Black.
Okay.
Chicken
And so
dance.
here we have the new one, the kid just trying to lose points for no reason. And we have the fact that the wife is now super happy with new cat to replace old cat. Why is she still with him? I can't answer that one.
Because Brovicast not fully black.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys? Not fully. Maybe that makes it better. I don't know. Now, everything should be good. We have new cat. Everything is happy. Oh wait.
But alcohol.
For my own part, I soon found a dislike to it arising within me. So as soon as he got the cat, he starts hating it. This was just the opposite of what I had anticipated. But I know not how or why it was, I became disgusted by its evident fondness of me. By slow degrees, these feelings of disgust and annoyance rose into the bitterness of hatred. I avoided the creature. A certain sense of shame and the remembrance of my former deed of cruelty preventing me from physically abusing it. I did not, for some weeks, strike or otherwise violently abuse it, but gradually, very gradually, I came to look upon it with unimaginable loathing and to flee silently from its revolting presence as from the breath of a plague. You guys know what loathe means?
No.
Strongly hate. Not just how you guys feel towards IXL.
No.
There you go. That would be more loathing. What added, no doubt, to my hatred of the beast was the discovery, on the morning after I brought it home, that, like Pluto, it also had lost one of its eyes. Now, this circumstance, however, only endeared it to my wife, who possessed that feeling towards animals which had once been my distinguishing trait, and the source of many of my simplest and purest pleasures. So what's new about this cat?
It has one eye.
So now it also has one eye, but that just makes his wife love it more, and it makes him remember there used to be a time when he loved animals also, but not anymore. With my hatred for this cat, however, its attraction towards me seemed to increase. So the more he hates it, the more it loves on him. It followed my footsteps with an insistence that would be difficult to make the reader comprehend. Whenever I sat, it would crouch beneath my chair or spring upon my knees, covering me with its loathsome purring. If I arose to walk, it would get between my feet and thus nearly trip me up, or, fastening its long and sharp claws into my clothes, climb in this manner to my chest. At such times, although I wanted to destroy it with a single blow, I was still stopped from doing so, partly by a memory of my former crime, but chiefly, let me confess it at once, by my absolute fright of the beast. This dread was not exactly a dread of physical evil, and yet I should be at a loss how otherwise to define it. I am almost ashamed to own, yes, even in my current felon's cell, I am still ashamed to own that the terror and horror with which the animal inspired me have been heightened to a level it would be almost impossible to think of. Quick pause. We find out where he's writing this from.
A cell.
What kind of cell?
Felon.
What does that mean?
I don't
in
know.
jail.
He's in jail.
For animals.
At the very beginning, what do we find out's going to happen to him tomorrow?
Yeah.
So we know those little foreshadowing clues are popping up. He's currently telling you the story
He's on death row.
from jail, and tomorrow he's going to die and
Disaster.
on death row.
Foreshadow.
So that'd be some of our short. And the fact that, how does he feel about this cat?
Evil. Doesn't like it.
To the point where it freaks him out, even being around this cat. Oh, now we'll save that part. My wife had called my attention more than once to the shape of the mark of white hair, and which was the only visible difference between the strange beast and the one I had destroyed. The reader will remember that this mark, although large, had been originally quite indefinite, but by slow degrees nearly unnoticeable, and which for a long time my brain struggled to reject as simply imagination, its outline had taken on a more definite shape. It was now the depiction of an object that I shudder to name. And for this above all I loathed and dreaded and would have rid myself of the monster had I dared. It was now, I say, the image of a ghastly thing, of the gallows. Oh, mournful and terrible engine of horror and of crime, of agony and of death. So, this little white splotch on the cat's chest, over time, no longer looks like a little white splotch, but it means you have to know what a gallows is.
What's that?
Oh,
Like a hanging thing, right?
it is the hanging thing. That's a gallows. So this little white splotch on this chest, over time, has slowly formed into a little shape that looks like that from the indistinct splotch. Now, why would that freak him out?
Because he killed a cat with a rope.
Because he killed the other cat with a rope, and now this new cat, which also has one eye, is walking around with a little symbol that he used to kill the previous cat, and he's like, oh, it's getting kind of creepy.
Why
Elena?
does this show the cat with two eyes?
Yeah, there we go.
Does that solve the problem?
That's better.
Didn't mean to freak you out on that one. You're like, it's a new cat. It's not. Beneath the pressure of torments such as these, the frail remains of the good that was within me gave way. Evil thoughts became my only comforts, the darkest and most evil of thoughts. The moodiness of my usual attitude increased into hatred of all living things and of all mankind, and my uncomplaining wife was the most usual and the most patient of sufferers of these outbursts. One day, she accompanied me upon some household errand into the basement of the old building which our poverty forced us to live in. The cat followed me down the steep stairs and, nearly tripping me, infuriated me into madness, lifting a nearby axe, forgetting in my wrath the childish dread which had so far stopped me. I aimed a blow at the animal, which of course would have proved instantly fatal had it gone as I wished. But this was stopped by the hand of my wife. Aggravated by the interference into a blinding rage, I withdrew my arm from her grasp and buried the axe in her brain. She fell dead upon the spot without even a groan. I believe is where we go, oopsie. He was in a murderous rage and killed the wrong thing.
I thought he was in jail.
This hideous, he's not, remember he's writing a story from jail.
That's probably why he's in jail, because he killed like
Yeah, he
a
killed
cat
his
and
wife.
and a cat, and then probably
And then he probably killed the
Stop
cat.
trying to use our
Wait,
foreshadowing
Maybe
clues.
his wife was a cat.
That is weird.
We're gonna find out.
His wife was a furry? Oh
No.
my.
This hideous murder was accomplished. I set about the task of concealing the body, because that's what you do after you kill your wife. You try to hide the corpse. I knew that I could not remove it from the house either by day or by night without the risk of being seen by the neighbors. I mean, of course, everyone knows that when you kill somebody. Many ideas entered my mind. At one period, I thought of cutting the corpse into tiny pieces and destroying them by fire. At another, I resolved to dig a grave for it in the floor of the basement. Then I hit upon what I considered a far better method. I determined to wall it up in the cellar, as the monks of the Middle Ages are thought to have walled up their victims. For a purpose such as this, the basement was well tailored. Its walls were loosely constructed and had lately been plastered throughout with a rough plaster, which the constant dampness of the basement had prevented from hardening. Moreover, in one of the walls was a hollow area caused by a false chimney or fireplace that had been filled up and made to resemble the rest of the basement. I made no doubt that I could readily remove the bricks in this part, insert her corpse, wall the hole up as before, so that no eye could detect anything suspicious. And in this calculation, I was not wrong. With a crowbar, I easily dislodged the bricks and, having carefully placed the body against the inner wall, I propped it in that position, while, with little trouble, I relaid the bricks and wall as they had originally stood. Having bought mortar, sand, and hair, I prepared a new plaster, which could not be distinguished from the old. And with this, I very carefully went over my fresh brickwork. When I had finished, I felt sure that it was perfect. The wall did not have the slightest appearance of having been broken. The rubbish on the floor was picked up with care. I looked around triumphantly and said to myself, "Here at least, then, my work has not been in vain." Yes, he is proud of himself for properly burying his dead wife into the wall and hiding the body. And he was like, "Look at me, I get a gold star." My next step was to look for the beast which had been the cause of so much misery, for I had at length firmly resolved to put it to death. Had I been able to meet with it at the moment, then there could have been no doubt to its fate. But it appeared that the crafty animal had been alarmed at the violence of my previous anger, and had decided to hide because of my present mood. It is impossible to describe the deep and blissful sense of relief which the absence of the detested creature created in me. It did not come out again that night, and thus, for one night at least, since its introduction into the house, I soundly and calmly slept. Yes, I slept with the burden of murder upon my soul. So he finally gets a good night's sleep because the cat is gone and his wife is dead, and he was like, "Oh, life is good," and he gets this nice little sleepy sleep. And the story is going to end happily, of course,
No.
Nope.
because what do we know is going to happen to him? We just got to figure out how. The second and the third day passed, and still my tormentor came not. Once again, I breathed as a free man. The monster, in terror, had fled the house forever. I should behold it no more. My happiness was supreme. The guilt of my dark deed disturbed me very little. Some investigation into my wife's disappearance had been made, but they had been readily answered. Even a search for her had occurred, but of course nothing was to be discovered. I looked upon my future freedom as entirely secure. Upon the fourth day of the assassination, the police came, very unexpectedly, into the house, and again made a thorough investigation of the house. I felt safe, however, in knowing that they would never discover my place of concealment. The officers asked me to accompany them in their search. They left no nook or corner unexplored. Even the basement. The police were thoroughly satisfied and prepared to leave. The excitement in my heart was too strong to be restrained. I burned to say but one word so that I could secretly gloat and yet also convince them of my guiltlessness. "Gentlemen," I said at last, as the cops climbed the steps, "I am happy to have dispelled your suspicions. I wish you all good health. By the by, gentlemen, this is a very well-constructed house." In the rabid desire to say something easily, I scarcely knew what I uttered at all. "I may say an excellently constructed house. These walls..." Are you going already, gentlemen? No. "These walls are solidly put together." And here, through the mere act of daring, I knocked heavily with a cane which I held in my hand upon that very portion of the brickwork behind which stood the corpse of my wife. So he just knocks on the wall. He's like, "See, police officers, this basement is completely fine. These walls are great. Even this wall right here." And he knocks right where he buried his wife because he was showing off just a little bit. But may God shield and deliver me from the fangs of the evil beast. No sooner had the echoes of my blows sank into silence than I was answered by a voice from within the tomb, by a cry, at first muffled and broken, like the sobbing of a child, and then quickly swelling into one long, loud, continuous scream, utterly abnormal and inhuman. A howl, a wailing shriek, half of horror, half of triumph, such as might have arisen only out of a nightmare, conjointly from the throats of the cursed in their agony and of the demons that exult in their eternal torture. As to my own thoughts, it is silly to speak of them. Swooning, I staggered to the opposite wall. For one instant, the policemen upon the stairs remained motionless, frozen by their terror and awe. In the next, a dozen strong arms were tearing at the wall. It fell quickly. The corpse, already greatly decayed and clotted with gore, stood erect before the eyes of the crowd. Upon the corpse's head, with its gaping red mouth and solitary eye of fire, sat the hideous beast whose axe had seduced me into murder, and whose powerful voice will send me to the hangman. I had walled the monster up within the tomb.
Why does it have two eyes?
Because I couldn't make a little tiny one, I don't think. Did I do it correctly? No, I did not get a chance to cross out the other eye. Dang it. And so here's where he knocks on it, and then he hears the coming from inside of it, which of course, who does he think is making the sound? His wife that he has buried inside. But apparently the cat had jumped inside the wall while he was walling the whole thing up, and then stayed there for days until just the right moment when the police arrived, and that's when the cat makes this little howling sound, thus getting him caught and in trouble forever and ever. And that's our story. If you'd like to have a little extra disturbing thing added to it, think about this fact. How long was the cat in there?
He has to eat the body of the girl.
Oh.
Cat doesn't want to die, so the cat has to have food.
That's why it was all.
Try not to think about that one.
You know, if you die in your house.
So now our little bits of foreshadowing. Hey, you asked for a story that has death in it. I gave you a story that has death in it. Straight up murdery bits and a little haunted kitty cat. So at the very beginning, when the speaker tells the reader he's going to die tomorrow, how is that foreshadowing?
He's on death.
He's gonna get hanged.
He's gonna be killed. We're gonna find out he's on death row. It was just a matter of finding out what was gonna cause the death row. Ooh, when they named the cat Pluto, that's also foreshadowing. Yeah?
Because Pluto's like a god of death, so
There you go. So it starts off thinking they named the cat Pluto because the Pluto planet is really dark, but it turns out they named the cat Pluto because of the god of death, and it turns out this god of death is the one that comes back to get him. And then, ooh, the wife thinks black cats might be witches at the beginning.
He was right.
How so?
Because he come back to life.
And so apparently this cat may be a witch that came back and tried to come after him and stuff like that. Let's see what other ones we have. Ooh, when he tells us he is speaking from his felon cell, that would be the jail cell. And again, he's not there for killing the cat. He's there for
Killing his wife.
nicely done. Much like when Joshua goes to jail, it's going to be for killing the kid in front of him who can't keep his hands off his desk, and he's going to have the entire class support him. Don't worry, Lucas may be far, far away from you soon, so we can help Lucas with his decisions. Sometimes decisions are tough. I got your back, Joshua. You've been so patient not stabbing him in the head. And, ooh, when the white cat's white spot turns into a gallows, you thought it was because he hung the cat.
He's gonna hang him.
Uh-huh, because the cat leads to his death. And how is he gonna die? So it turns out that that was the foreshadowing of what's going to happen to the speaker. I think that's most of the ones in there. Will?
The cat print in the wall.
How would that be a foreshadowing?
Because the cat was in the wall. When
From later on, I can see your foreshadowing on that one. Nicely done there too, with the whole imprint into the wall. Eden.
When he found the one cat in the bar because alcohol caused him to kill his wife.
Ooh, I can see the connection on that too. Elena.
When he says in his calculation I was not wrong, but he says that there's another calculation he was wrong.
I'll roll with that. Hadley.
just something to point out. The house burned. How did he bury the wife in the house?
So that's what he says in there, that this was the new, they had to move to a really poor house. He had to get rid of his servant, and now they're just living in like a poor place. He had a nice expensive place that he burned down, and so now they're living in like just a little place. So that was why. Different house. Nothing. Yeah, you can't bury her in the wall of the place that no longer exists. That place is gone. It was a whole new place anyway. Let's see, characters. I would say we only have really 3 characters in the story. The first character being Dude. Second character, and third character.
I'm gonna name this dude like.
I would go wife, and then I would also. Ooh. So how would you describe the speaker or dude?
Alcoholic.
Dumb.
Yeah, that doesn't work for anyone else. I could go with alcoholic.
Dumb.
And for his wife,
Superstitious.
Smart.
wife superstitious. I would understand. Wife smart.
Because she knew the cat was a witch.
Oh, all right. I would also accept dumb because she stayed with him. So you could probably go both ways because I think once you see your alcoholic husband killing and hanging cats, I'd be like, dip. But you know, to each their own. Yeah.
Back then, it was like way harder for a woman to divorce.
You are correct. I know, but I still, women's rights. Trying to say don't stay with crazy man, but do that.
Why would
I
you
know
him and
Sticky.
But the cat's also stupid because the cat followed him home.
Which one? The second cat?
Second cat.
Why does the second cat follow him home though?
kill him?
It's not following him home out of niceness.
He tried to kill. He killed the first one.
And so the second cat follows him home because it's going like this the whole time.
I think that cat was friends with Pluto and he wanted to get revenge on his friend's death.
Or was it a reincarnation of Pluto?
Maybe.
I don't know. For the winds, that was easy enough. Nighttime, a long time ago. For the where, mostly just 2 main locations. The house,
The other house.
I guess house and other house.
House, other house, and beer.
That was the one I would take too.
Bar.
Beer.
Oh, I didn't think, I guess I did put jail on there too, it would also work.
Beer.
And then, ooh, beer. What internal conflict does the speaker have?
Killing the cat.
What was it? I couldn't hear you, Globetrotter.
Oh, I forgot about that.
My best friend
Uh-huh.
is a globetrotter, and I am
That
not
would
going
work for
to
me.
let you stand in the way.
Go you. Tomorrow,
Cat,
we,
let cat live.
that'll work. Tomorrow we have Reedy Day. Other than that, be aware of any kitty cats that may come after you. Try not to kill them or your wife.